No, don't burst slap me. Oh yeah, baby, we're back playing Guilty Gear Strive, punchy kicky all day. We're sinning. We're sinning hard. Go ahead and write down your favorite sins in the comments below, guys. So on Thanksgiving Day, Arc System Works, the developers behind Guilty Gear Strive, added a new DLC character. Sin Kisuke was first introduced to the series in Guilty Gear XX as kind of a mid-range zoner character, and this flag-swinging, fish-eating mix-up idiot is now in Strive for me to try out. I haven't put any serious time into learning other characters in this game, to the point I almost don't feel like I understand the game, just Giovanna as a character. I would occasionally queue up as Soul Bad Guy or Chip just for chips and giggles when I was in the park or the tower, and my face would usually quickly meet the concrete until I eventually switched back to Giovanna. Up till now, none of the DLC characters really grabbed my interest from the gameplay side of things, but when I read the Steam announcement for the character and saw Sin described as a rushdown, I was hooked. How could Sin, a character who fights with a big long flagpole, be a rushdown? It almost seemed counterintuitive to me, so I had to investigate. As soon as the character was downloaded, I went to Thanksgiving dinner and got exhausted, and then went to bed. But then the next day, I pinged my Discord server asking for Strive matches, and specifically Sin mirror matches. Two of my OG viewers, Natbait and Tall Burrito, were already grinding Sin dittos the previous day, and quickly jumped on the opportunity to show me what they'd learned. The rules were simple: 10 matches, Sin only. Here's how those games went. Worst burst of my life.
The worst burst of your life so far.
Okay, I'm just rewatching this while I'm editing. Why did I throw him out of the corner? I had him dead to rights. I had him thrown in the corner in an Oki situation. I could have followed up with anything. And I threw him out into... I threw him into advantage. Here you go, buddy. Here's advantage. Let's go. Even though I had zero experience with Sin, I still managed to hold my own pretty well and even landed a handful of basic combos. I took a short break to eat dinner before playing Tall Burrito. See, when I first started playing Strive, that entire break would have just been me stewing over me getting my ass beaten so soundly, but I didn't feel even a little bit mad. Part of that had to do with the circumstances of the match. Sin is really fun to mess around with, I learned a lot from the matches, and it was fun playing sets against people who watch my silly videos. But that wasn't all of it. If you saw the last video, I had quite a few salty moments. There were a few more that didn't even make the cut because they weren't funny, it was just lame. A losing streak and a demotion could put me in a bad mood for the rest of the day. So what changed? I realized that I was doing something really stupid in my brain. I was unconsciously tying my self-worth to my results in a video game. This isn't exactly a new bad habit of mine, but I didn't really realize I was doing it until I started playing Strive. Really, any game or game mode that quantified my skill in any way made me unreasonably upset at losses. And it turned out identifying the problem was actually a lot harder than figuring out how to solve it. I just had to come to the correct conclusion. The conclusion I should have been able to make a very long time ago. Rank does not matter. The number of people who cared what floor I was on in Guilty Gear Strive was 1. And that one person was me. And then I thought, if I could force myself to stop caring about my results, then the number of people who cared would be 0. And then I could spend my game time having more fun and not losing hair follicles over trivial shit that didn't matter. That being said, it's not like I'm gonna be a meditating monk every time I play a video game from now on. I'm not completely immune to anger or anything, but I know I won't fall into that same toxic mindset that I was in before. If you're watching this and you're new to fighting games, don't make the same mistake I did. Losing is part of the game, just like any other game. It doesn't reflect poorly on your skill or you as a person. I'm talking about losing so much because it's really a big part of the game, especially when you pick up a new character. You're gonna try and do the same stuff you did with your old character and it's not gonna work and it's gonna make you lose games, but it also helps you learn. These are still my day 1 matches you're seeing, but you just saw me take a round off of a player who's clearly better than me. Honestly, the hardest part of the adjustment period between Sin and Giovanna was the dash. See, Giovanna can cancel her dash momentum at any time into a block. I abused this mechanic. I used it to play footsies, I used it for spacing, I used it to bait bad options out of my opponents, and Sin doesn't have this mechanic, so I was getting hit a lot trying to do it. Another big difference was the range of inputs I was expected to do with Sin. See, lots of characters have this dragon punch motion, often referred to simply as a DP. Giovanna's DP is just okay at its job as an anti-air, and I never really felt the need to choose it over 6P. And for that reason, I didn't ever commit the motion input to muscle memory. I struggled really hard getting DP down consistently, it really wasn't natural. It felt like I was trying to play both guitar parts of Neverment at the same time. But after trying it endlessly in training mode, I found the input came out more consistently if I didn't plink the keys, instead holding them down after I do the attack input. Keep in mind I'm playing on keyboard. If it ever sounds like I'm very angrily typing an essay, that's just me trying to land a combo, don't worry about it. Anyway, as expected, Tall Burrito wiped the floor with me and stole my hamburger. The score ended up similarly to the last one, but this time around I was starting to figure out what all of my tools were. As you saw, I wasn't really playing neutral during those 20 matches, but I just wanted to play until I didn't have to think about what button made what move happen. And I think I succeeded in that. Once again, GG's to Natbait and Tall Burrito. If you also want a chance to beat up a YouTuber in a fighting game, join my Discord. I'll throw a link for it down in the description. I had just enough time and energy for one full online set before I went to bed, and I hopped into the tower and matched up with this Bridget. She's ballin', dude. Let's hope we don't get dunked on.
Like a sponge, soak up every
Let's go. That was a good way to end the night.
Are you ready?
Oh, it's time to fight Dad. It's dad fight time. I continued doing 4 or 5 tower sets every day for a couple of days, just trying to soak in as much matchup knowledge as I possibly could. One of my biggest mistakes that I noticed when I was watching my replays later on was that I was getting needlessly close to my opponent. This is likely a bad Giovanna habit that carried over to my Sin gameplay. See, with Giovanna, I always wanted to be as close as possible to my opponent at any given time during the match. Part of my game plan with her was to get close enough to either do close slash to lead into a combo, or get close enough for a grab, and forcing them to guess which option I would choose. But, as I previously mentioned, Sin fights with a big ass pull, and you don't see me take advantage of that fact in any of these early matches. It almost felt like I was using the character wrong, like I was using a wrench as a hammer. There was just so much more potential that this character had that I wasn't tapping into. But that would have to wait, because I got mega distracted with another game. And I'm going to talk about that game for the next 5 minutes. No, don't click off the video, it'll be relevant. It'll be relevant.
Holy calamity, scream insanity! All you ever gonna be's another great fan of me. Holy calamity, scream insanity! All you ever gonna be's another great fan of me. Break!
YOMI Hustle is a new indie fighting game that's starting to gain popularity. What you just saw is a replay of an online match I had the other day. What you are now seeing on screen is actual YOMI Hustle gameplay. See, this is a turn-based fighting game. So it's less an anime fighter and more just chess with cool animations, and I mean that in the best way possible. YOMI Hustle is a pure strategy fighting game. Have you ever heard somebody say something like, "Oh, I like the strategy of fighting games, but not the execution"? Well, this is the perfect game for that kind of person. You click the button, and your little stick guy does the thing you tell him to do. That leaves your mind completely open to consider what your opponent is doing and what they could be planning. If you can guess your opponent's moves correctly, you win. That's the game, which makes it no different than any other fighting game in that regard. Here's some footage of the first match I ever played. You'll probably notice the amount of whiffed attacks is way up from the last clip that I showed you. This is because Caden and I had never played the game before. We were just trying to figure out what our buttons were, but neither of us were using our most important, powerful option. The option to stand still and do nothing. This simple button changed the way I looked at fighting games. I always had it in my brain that to win, you need to guess every option your opponent picks before they pick it and then punish accordingly. This caused me to overcommit to bad options all the time, trying to future read somebody and getting punished for it. But this funny stickman game opened my understanding of my options. Why try and make a hard read when you could just do nothing? If your opponent picks an option and you don't, that's a free punish. This seems like something I should have realized before, but when I play Strive, I'm always inputting something. Whether it be an attack string, walking, jumping, or blocking, I'm always pushing buttons. And I never felt comfortable fully removing my fingers from the keys either. I always got this sense that I'd be too slow to press something before my opponent did. But there's a trick that you can do on hitbox and keyboard, using SOCD cleaning. Yeah, SOCD's nuts. There, it's out of the way. We can move on. If you input left and right at the same time, the game will read it as inputting nothing, and you'll stay perfectly still. This finger positioning allows me to block simply by releasing one of my movement keys, because releasing a key is faster than pressing it. No, this revelation didn't change me into a bait and punish only kind of guy. I still like to rush people down and force offense, but now I don't have to always be moving, attacking, or blocking. I have another tool in the tool belt. See, watch this. I don't pick an option and this guy's brain just short circuits and he just does like 5 low attacks in a row. He has no clue. Here, watch, I'll do it again. I'll just throw him into the corner and just sit there. See? Okay, this isn't like a godly tool that will let you beat anyone just by like, oh, just react to all their moves, dude. It's obviously not that simple. Here I just go for it and get punished by not reacting to the low attack fast enough. And losing neutral's never good. I obviously would have been better off blocking. But if I would have thrown out an attack like I likely would have before, I would have gotten counter hit and probably comboed to death. Okay, tangent over. I told you it was relevant, god. After my YOMI Hustle fever calmed down a little bit, I started easing back into Strive doing training mode stuff. Through watching several Sin guides and listening to them at work, I learned that Sin could do something called a Kara cancel. Basically, Sin has this dash move he can do after special attacks called Gazelle Step. You can cancel the startup of Gazelle Step into a super. So Sin can do normal attacks into special attacks into super attacks all in one combo. But just because Sin could do that doesn't mean I can. I needed to learn the execution necessary to do all this cool stuff. This felt like really tight timing to me. I'm still new, so I don't know if more intermediate players would struggle with this like I did, but it was a toughie for me. I failed the execution on this combo more times than the CIA failed to execute Fidel Castro.
Let's go! Let's go!
I'm not usually a training mode kind of guy, but I've been having a good time with it as of late. My strategy has been to go in for like 30 minutes and throw a podcast or an audiobook on in the background. In this time, I mainly focused on getting this Kara cancel down. I had just leveled up my neutral game a little bit by alternating between hard aggression and standing still. Now I needed to level up my punish game. If I win the interaction, I want to make my opponent regret it. Just to show how far I've come with Flag Guy, I'm gonna play my first Sin match and then my most recent Sin match back to back. I originally just wanted to pick up Sin for this video, seeing what it was like for a newcomer trying to learn a new character, but Sin is absolutely my main. I have a long way to go before I reach the level I was at with Giovanna, but I'm willing to put the games in there to catch up. It might just take a little bit. Sin felt a bit easier to learn, but this might have just been because I had a better understanding of the system mechanics at this point. Sin has a wider range of options and tools than Giovanna does, and while I'm no master craftsman with those tools, I'm definitely on the road to getting there, I think. Once again, huge thanks to everyone in my Discord who helped out with the video, and hell, even the people that didn't. And of course, thank you all for watching all the way through the video. These videos are always super fun to make since my lack of ad revenue from these means I can kinda do and say whatever I want. Plus, I really enjoy just being able to use licensed music and not care if I get a copyright claim or not. In terms of future videos, I still want to do a hitbox build at some point, but that's going to have to wait until after Christmas. I got presents to buy. Keep in mind, I do have a full-time job, and I film and edit these in my spare time, so frequent uploads aren't really a possibility at the moment, but I do plan on doing more videos in the future. Also, I had no idea Guilty Gear Strive would suck me into an absolute fighting game vortex, but it did. I'm already planning on picking up and recording Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, and Project L in the future. All of those games look so hype, and I'm so curious what it's like picking up a fighting game on release and not years after the fact. Another thing I realized when I was playing was just how much mentality was important in fighting games. I never really valued it above things like execution or game knowledge or anything like that, but I genuinely think mentality is the most important aspect of fighting games at this point. Because if you're not in the right headspace, you just won't learn. And not learning means not progressing, which means staying bad. So mad equals bad. Very basic math. The most important thing that I learned during this video wasn't how to Kara cancel or how to bait moves by doing nothing. It was learning not to judge my progression based on my win rate and not to associate said win rate with my self-worth. I just have to put one foot in front of the other and keep on improving at my own pace. As a wise man once said, the most important step a man can take is the next one. Always the next one. Thanks for watching.